this video, you will learn about some basic statistics concepts. When someone needs to know information about a group of people, sometimes they create a survey. They ask questions of a sample of people. The sample is part of the population that they want to know about. A population is an entire group of people or objects, and a sample is a part of the population. You can use a sample to make an inference or a conclusion about a population. Step by step, it looks like this. First, you identify a population that you want to know more about. Then select a sample, which is a part of that population. Then you gather your data by asking survey questions and interpret the data in the sample. Then you can make an inference or a conclusion about your population. The first main concept we need to understand is the difference between a population and a sample. Let's look at some examples. The students in a school versus the students in a math class. One of these is a population, and one would be a sample of the population. Which would be which? The population would be the students in a school, and the sample would be the students in a math class. The whole population is the entire school, where a small part of that population is the students in the math class. How about this one? The grizzly bears with GPS collars in a park versus the grizzly bears in a park. The population would be all the grizzly bears in a park, and the sample would be the grizzly bears with a GPS collar in the park. Here's another one. 150 quarters versus all the quarters in circulation. All the quarters in circulation are the population, and the sample is the 150 quarters. Another example is all fiction books in the library versus 10 fiction books in the library. The population includes all fiction books in the library, and the sample is the small part of that, 10 fiction books in the library. Let's say you want to know the favorite activity of the students at your school, so you create a survey. The students in your school would be the population. We need to choose a random sample that we're going to survey. A random sample is a sample that is equally likely to be chosen in comparison to the rest of the population. The data from the sample should give a fair idea of what the population data would say. Remember, we're trying to figure out what is the favorite activity of the students at your school. So is this sample random? Do you think if we asked members of the school band what their favorite activity is, that they would be likely to say something like basketball or quiz bowl? They'd probably be more likely to say band. Would this be a fair representation of the whole school? Probably not. What if you survey the students in your math class? Would this be a random sample? Considering the fact that students in your math class aren't necessarily in the same activities, yes, this is a random sample. What if you choose to ask students who volunteer to take your survey during lunchtime? Would this be a random sample? If you only take students who volunteer to complete your survey during lunchtime, you're not taking a random sample. Students who are willing to volunteer to take your survey are probably more outgoing and might even be in more activities than students who choose not to take your survey. What about this sample? Students whose names you draw out of a hat that has names of every student in the school. Is this random? This sample would absolutely be random. Everyone whose name is in that hat is equally likely to be chosen. What if when you draw names out of that hat, you draw 5 names out of 200? What if you draw 25 names out of 200? What if you draw out 100 names out of 200? Does the size of your sample affect the validity of your survey? Here's your task. Write a survey question about a topic that interests you. How can you choose people to survey so that you can use the results to make a valid conclusion? Turn this in to get your notes packet for Unit 8. Now you should know about some basic statistics concepts. Thanks for watching.